Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here. I'm with Spencer from WestCoastVarieties, and we're going to be talking through some of his very cool modern coin variety finds and lots of perspective being shared along the way. So I figure I'm here with an expert, and I'm excited to talk through what we're looking at and what he's found.
And I'm always glad to be here.
Awesome. So I think, you had mentioned that this one is actually a more sought after on the left, this Eisenhower Silver dollar double die obverse FS 103. That is the old Cherry Pickers listing, the new one obviously 103. Yep. But where are we looking, and then why is this such an expensive coin? What's it worth, but why is it so expensive?
So first of all, you're looking mainly in God We Trust, the date, and some of Liberty, but it won't be as dramatic. But for me personally, again, I will look at the T and the R of Trust, and you'll see like the lower corners, they just have that I guess you could call it splitting in the bases, but you could see some clear shelving in the top of the T and the R.
Yep.
So for that, then you have to match it to the date part of it, and make sure there's some doubling in like the lower right area of the 9 on that right side, and same thing on the bottom part of the 7 where the flag is, and the straight part of the 7, you'll see some doubling in there, and on the right of the 7 as well.
Very cool.
But yeah, so for this coin though, there are a few different types of doubling that's seen on these. This one's a little tougher one to find, and especially just being a 69 Cameo, this could go up to anywhere around $1,500 retail.
Incredible. No, I heard some people saying though that the Ikes, you can complete a set of them, and so there's some pretty stiff competition at the higher end.
Yeah, definitely. And just making the sets of these can be difficult on the higher end, as long as unless if you're willing to spend some decent money. But these can definitely be picked through in the brown Ike packaging that you could buy at maybe $11.50, $12, depending on where you're getting it from. But for the most part, these are all picked through brown Ike sets too.
Wow. No, it's shows that there's still opportunity out there. I think one thing we had also spoke about is these. Well, I think they're underneath. Maybe we'll start with these because I just thought it was an interesting point and something not of contention. But these are the accented hair proof coins. I think the easiest way to look for them, and we had mentioned this, or you had mentioned this, and we had both agreed that the way this is one I've found, it's a little more basic, but you can see the weakness in the left base of the eye, even though it's technically more detail in the hair, hence the accented hair. That's a little easier to see, no sort of serif there. But you had mentioned, so what's the difference between the accented hair FS401 and the accented hair?
So in simple terms, $18. That's the difference between them. Realistically, they're the same coin. They would both have the same FS401, but the FS401 comes from the FIVA Stanton numbering, like in the Cherry Pickers that you'll see all the time. But something I never really thought about until more recently, I would say, is that when you're submitting coins to PCGS, there are certain major type varieties that they will recognize without having to add on the additional variety attribution, which is, I think it's $18. Usually that's what it is.
Yeah.
So for the most part, if you have an accented hair Kennedy, you could submit that coin just as a 1964 proof half dollar, and they will put on the accented hair like the one on the right. But if you want the FS401 number, you do have to pay the additional fee for the attribution.
Now, are there any funny games where people are going to pay more than, how much of the $18? I feel like it's cooler to have the FS401 on the holder.
Yes, definitely. So for variety collectors, they do tend to prefer the actual FS401 number on the accented hair. And generally, you could probably get an extra $25 to $30 just for the FS401 on there.
Interesting. So it complicates the picture a little bit.
It does.
But clearly you've submitted, both. So not necessarily one right answer. Now here we've got double die, proof 67. I assume it's In God We Trust.
Correct.
That's sort of a very common theme, and I need to zoom in. But is this something that you find commonly, or is it more the accented hair that you're going to be looking for on the 64 proofs?
So going through 64 proof sets, the first thing you're always looking for is the accented hair. And when it comes to the accented hair alone, there are varieties where you'll have doubling on In God We Trust. Sometimes you'll have the reverse designer initials that are doubled as well, and those all get their own separate FS numbers. But even without an accented hair, you could have a double dye obverse, you could have a triple dye obverse. I've had one of those, but I think that one they considered minor variety. But there are so many different variations of doubling on the 64 Kennedy, proof Kennedy, and this is just one of them.
Yeah, no, really looks like the T and the R is one great place to look.
Exactly.
Same thing the E, but very fun. And then we'll go over to some pennies. I think I had, let's see, I have, so one A, it stands out because it's got the CAC sticker on it. Is that something that you try to submit? You know, do you submit a lot of varieties to CAC?
So, to be honest, this was the first one I ever submitted to CAC, and it came back with the green sticker, and I was really happy about it, but I never really submit to CAC. For the most part, it's just the 1971 double dye that they do, or the 72 and the 69 or the 55s, but for the most part, modern varieties they don't consider for CAC. But this one I just tried just to see if it would work, and it did.
And this is a nicer, I'm forgetting exactly the pricing, but I always thought it's nicer.
So this one is probably about $700 to $800. It's clearly visible. I mean, just a huge spread on Liberty. But depending on the grade, you know, they could get up to $2,000 like one of the next ones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think I may have pulled it.
Oh, did you pull it? Sorry.
See. No, I've got a little pause here. This one looks like a proof 68 red Cameo.
So this coin, same variety, same characteristics, but just because of the grade and with the Cameo designation alone, that could reach up to, I would say, $1,750 to $2,200.
So cool that, you know, and I assume you found this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really pays. You know, that's a lot of, you know, hours worked at an hourly job, and
definitely. Yeah. You put in a lot of hours and go through a lot of sets, but you know, sometimes when you could turn, you know, a coin that's not worth much into quite a bit, and just by developing your eye.
Definitely. Here we've got sort of a mix of other things. One of them isn't even an error. This one is a close AM, so would have been, you know, they should have been using the dies for proofs, which had a space between the A and the M, but instead, you know, there's a tiny space.
There's a tiny bit.
This is 30 times magnification. You know, when you're looking at it here, it looks like there's not one. Are these common? Do you find these ever?
So for the year 1998, they're a lot less common. Again, you could find these in proof sets. All you got to do is, you know, open up the set and flip it over, and if it's a close AM, that's what you got. So for this one, generally they bring about $350 to $400 in a 69 deep Cameo. But there are other dates, such as the 1999 close AM, that they're much more common than the 98s, so the premiums will come down a bit.
No, it's cool, and you know, you can see the interesting like proof technique just in that shadow. Pointless observation. This one is something that you mentioned you had made 1964 proof 69 red deep Cameo. That's just conditional, you know, it's deep Cameo in really high condition.
Yeah, so this is one of those that I can't lie, I'm not the greatest at detecting deep Cameo, especially Lincolns, when they're in the cellophane. So it was just more of a test and seeing how I could develop my eye even more, and for me, sending them in and better understanding it. So I got a handful that were 69 deep Cameos, and that was a pleasant surprise.
Awesome. And our last coin, I didn't see we had done any Repunch mint marks, so I figured we could do one Repunch mint mark, FS501, that's the Repunch, you know, what they notate them as, proof 68. Is this a rare coin, and is it common that you find Repunch mint marks, or like what's the most common type of variety that you see?
Yeah, so for this one specifically, this is not very common. I've found 4 in total. I've found 3 in 68s, and they're all tied for top pop. So all the ones that are out there are technically I found, unless
Wow.
by the time that this gets released there might be more. But
So cool.
yeah, so this one, it's just like a little piece of the serif on the lower left part of the S that's sticking out, and that's the repunching. It's one of those that once you see it, anytime you're going through sets, you know what to look for and how to look for it.
So neat. Well, that's cool. I had no idea that you had basically made the known existing quantities of these, and great to showcase your perspective on this stuff. Check out our video together that we did on some older stuff. Would you say you have more luck with the more modern varieties, or do you think that there's maybe more to be found on some of the older coins?
I would say I probably have more luck with the modern varieties, just because it's definitely something that's overlooked. And I think just in general with modern coins, it's an overlooked collecting area that for the most part you could find, proof and mint sets for relatively cheap costs, and not many people check for varieties like myself. So there's a lot of opportunities there, and there's a lot of opportunities to make money or to just enhance your collection and eyes.
Great. Thank you so much, and I'll look forward to hearing from you sometime soon. We'll get back together and make some more videos.
Totally. Always appreciate it, Christian.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Treasure Town, and get in touch with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, check out my website, treasuretowncoins.com, for news and updates related to the channel and collectibles in general. Lastly, there's a link tree in the description with links to all of my other sites, as well as some affiliate links that can support the channel. But with that being said, have a great day, and I'll hope to see you on some of my videos in the future.